and the secret police have face scanning cameras and fake TV newscasts and big jumbotrons in the cities with the head of Homeland Security, the head of National Security, saying, watch your neighbors, turn your parents in. It's cool, it's trendy. And that's a Stephen King book he wrote in like 1980 that came out, what, in 84, 85 with Schwarzenegger? You see, it's all predictive programming. In your face. This is what's really planned. I happen to know via Shooter Jennings that, again, they take people's writings that understand where we're going, and then they decide to push it, not because the system's against it, but they want to acclimate you. I know that Stephen King, through Shooter Jennings, is aware of the New World Order, doesn't like what's going on. But again, they still take his book, turn it into a movie. It's probably the same thing with the lady that wrote Hunger Games. We contacted her. The publicist said she's not doing interviews. But watching that film, it's exactly what they have planned. It has 12 regions. We have 10. Over half the country's off limits. They've cut off the resources in a feudal system. That's what Maurice Strong calls for, a post-industrial world. Red alert. CBS News. Oh, the IRS? Bill would suspend passport rights for delinquent taxpayers. Folks, you have a right as a citizen to come and go out of the country. But now, a collection agency for the Foreign Private Federal Reserve established in 1913, the bankers are saying, and we've always, what Ron Paul said, they selectively enforce, they let the illegals in. These borders and fences and walls and checkpoints 100 miles in are not, and they're called national security zones, are not for the illegals. They have always planned, and I've told you hundreds of times, you're not going to be allowed to even go through that zone. And they're announcing they're going to build them on the other side of the highway now. Do you understand? And they've said, you're going to go in to buy. You'll still have cash, but there'll be a face scan and thumbprint. Just a passive camera there under federal law. They're already having the places put it in voluntarily. The insurance companies give them discounts. It's already going in everywhere. Thumbprinting, face scanning everywhere. Yeah, here's the video, John Bound. We'll show when we come back from break, okay? No. We'll show it when we get back from break, okay? I don't have time with 30 seconds. Back to what I was saying here. Oh, the IRS, Bill would suspend passport rights for delinquent taxpayers. And here's the other one. After huge ammo buy, DHS purchases bullet-resistant booths. Federal agencies preparing to unveil more checkpoints. Folks, I got Kurt Nimmo putting all these stories together. Listen to this. 83-year-old woman denied health care over carbon footprint. Go home and die. That's mainstream news. They say kill babies up to age 3. Right now, the average family spends 1/4 of their income on food. Gentlemen, it's all out in the open now. Absolute, total control freaks telling the public that they're going to take over every facet of our lives to protect us. But as history shows, as our founding fathers warned, as common sense shows, the greatest danger is a big government. And we've got the biggest government that's ever existed, the most out-of-control government that's ever existed. And this is their plan. This is what they're doing. I told you the entire time, this is about internal checkpoints and stopping people who haven't paid their taxes and who can't pay their taxes from traveling. And in the future, they want to destroy the underground economy. The bankers hate it that more than 50 million people conservatively, according to the government's own numbers, don't pay the income tax to the private Federal Reserve. They've just dropped out. And so they're attacking the Amish. They're attacking the farmers and ranchers. They're attacking these farmers' markets, these swap meets, because it's the underground economy. And if they can't make you go to a big box store buying from China that further deindustrializes us and was designed to shut down our economy on record, and if they can't cut off our power with the carbon taxes, they're not going to be able to take over. So they're going to make it illegal to cut down your own trees, to use them as firewood, as a wood-burning stove. They're trying to ban space heaters. They're trying to ban outdoor heaters. Go look it up. They've already banned most of the toilets, dishwashers, dryers, light bulbs. Everything's standardized. Federal regulations say all the phones have to be dialed into to where they can be backdoored without a warrant and listen to you. Now admitted. All the computers the same. The globalists standardize it. They own the big mega corporations that send out all these Trojan horse systems as they massively expand the federal jackboot force and hire a bunch of people that think it's really cool to stomp on the Bill of Rights and Constitution. And as they use America's money and ingenuity and energy to launch wars against innocent countries, using al-Qaeda now in 6 different countries to try to overthrow the government. And then say, give your rights up because al-Qaeda wants to attack. On record. The magnitude of this article, CBS News. A bill authored by Southland lawmaker could potentially allow the federal government to prevent any American who owes back taxes from traveling outside the U.S. is one step closer to becoming law. Again, this should be internal checkpoints to control population through cashless society beyond Orwell. Internal checkpoints to arrest, because that's what's going to happen. I told you this was coming for over a decade. A bill authored by Southland lawmaker that could potentially allow the federal government, that means the Goldman Sachs government, to prevent any Americans who owe back taxes from traveling outside the U.S. It's one step closer to becoming law. And again, they'll just keep raising the taxes and taxes and taxes, and they say they're going to add in local, state taxes, all of them to this. Senate Bill 1813 was introduced back in November by Senator Barbara Boxer. Again, so anti-American, she's for total gun bans. Of course, she supports giving your kids inoculations without your consent. I mean, she is a tyrant pig. Again, Senate Bill 1813 was introduced back in November by Senator Barbara Boxer to reauthorize federal aid, highway, and highway safety construction programs for other purposes. The clearing of the Senate of 74 to 22 vote on March 14th, SB 1813 is now headed for a vote in the House of Representatives, where it's expected to encounter stiffer opposition amongst the GOP majority. In addition to authorizing appropriations for federal transportation infrastructure programs, the Moving Ahead for Progress in the 21st Century, Agenda 21 Act, or MAP 21, boy, they really throw it in our face, don't they? It's Agenda 21. They call it MAP 21. Let's put that map back up for folks, the UN map. MAP 21. You figured this out yet? Includes a provision that would allow the revocation or denial of a passport for anyone with certain unpaid taxes or tax delinquencies. Just wide open. Section 40304 of the legislation states that any individual who owes more than $50,000 to the Internal Revenue Service may be subject to an action. Of course, once it's through, they'll amend it down to $5. Action with respect to denial, revocation, or limitation of passport. And that's it, folks. Look, slaves get in, they don't get out. Why do you think they want to let all the illegals in? Because they're going to be slaves, like everybody else. The New World Order doesn't mind if you get into the empire. You're just not getting out of it. Kind of like the military are all given cancer virus injections on record and DU samples, so they're going to be soft-killed. That's how you decommission a piece of weaponry. They spike you like an old cannon. You figured out yet hardcore murdering criminals run things? We'll tell you about the highway checkpoints coming up. Every major study on vaccines, they're filled with cancer viruses. They're murdering us. Does that make me crazy? Possibly. Oh, boy. I mean, and we're just allowing a few thousand top globalists, in their own words, that's all there is. Rothkopf has written about that. To do this, to set up a nightmare system, to stage terror attacks, to pose as our saviors, to publicly run al-Qaeda on top of it all in front of us, but say give our rights up because al-Qaeda will get you, and hire a bunch of low-grade morons at every level of the bureaucracy who will trample everyone's rights, including their own. I mean, look at this headline. This is so scary, by Paul Watson, and he has links to the press release by the Homeland Security Department. After huge ammo buy, Department of Homeland Security purchases bullet-resistant booths. Federal agency preparing to unveil more checkpoints, and they've announced that They have tripled the funding for the Viper teams to be on highways and are training local police to man the mobile armored checkpoints. And what happens is you pull up, and under the transportation department, they have people there, and they come over with their drug dogs, their bomb dogs, bug their eyes out at you, act like, you know, they're on the front lines of Afghanistan. And yes, they're starting, I have video on newscast, groping people on the side of the road and at bus stations and train stations from Texas to Florida, from California to Michigan. I've got the newscast. Just type in TSA at bus station, and it'll show them groping little kids, even pulling their shirts off. And look, it's not happening to me, you filthy scum, okay? You work for murdering, child kidnapping criminals. There it is. Mitt Romney's wife had blind trust invested in Goldman Sachs' sex trafficking fund. And again, my issue is, why do they have a sex trafficking fund? Well, I mean, why not? DynCorp runs child operations, and then they run domestically. They're the biggest private contractor for CPS. With fake family court power, with police backing them, it's DynCorp operatives grabbing your children. But it's all done officially. And it's come out that there's bounties on what type of kids they want. And the state senator in Georgia announced he was going to release how they had a bounty on kids, and got her head blown off over the weekend before she could make the announcement. We'd interviewed her. Oh, but her and her husband, when the police said both committed suicide, she's like, Monday I'm coming out. I got the proof. She was even contacting the media. And all of this was going on. And then her and her husband got a couple bullets in their schnoggins. Nice people run things. You're really nice people. Well, of course they kidnap kids. They see us all as meat, as cattle, as lower than cattle. But I know a lot of you aren't going to listen now. You're only going to listen later. I understand that. It's too scary to admit this is going on. So you're going to just say, this isn't true. This isn't going on. This can't be real. Just like I told you a couple weeks ago, that NBC tape where they were claiming Zimmerman was saying racist stuff, sounded edited. They now admit they edited it and it's all made up. But it's no big deal. They're just the government mouthpiece, MSNBC, is trying to start a race war. It's no big deal. And now CNN's been caught altering the tape because it's criminal government policy to get us fighting with each other so they can be the referee and play the part of the savior, when they are the narcotics trafficking, child kidnapping, cancer-injecting, murdering criminals that make Hitler look like a choir boy. They don't dress up in a military dictator outfit like a clown like Hitler. The globalists sit there like loving liberals and give you a loving cancer shot. The patchouli oil, all of it is the cover for their mass murder. It's hardcore camo. It's camouflage, who these people really are. In public, Margaret Singer's like, I love blacks. Behind the scenes, we got to murder these people now. We're going to pose as liberal. We'll get them. And they do get you. The liberal TV's like, oh, we care about you, Al Sharpton. The whitey, have some more abortions. And we're going to put more of you in prison. Here, watch some violent hip-hop.